A new Division One men's tennis ranking has come out. It goes as follows. I apologize for looking down because I cannot memorize all this stuff. It's another set of computer rankings. Texas, Ohio State, TCU, Virginia, LSU, Mississippi State, Wake Forest, Oklahoma, Arizona, Texas A&M, Baylor, Georgia, South Carolina, UCF, Illinois, San Diego, Stanford, Auburn, Florida, USC, UCLA, Vanderbilt, Michigan State, Notre Dame, and Ole Miss are the 1 through 25, but I might as well go over like the next 15, get some like quote receiving vote teams for y'all to mention. Kentucky, Columbia, Pepperdine, NC State, Arizona State, Cornell, Clemson, Wisconsin, SMU, UC Santa Barbara, Arkansas, Yale, Princeton, Michigan, and Penn. Like obviously the next two would be Harvard and Oklahoma State. I might as well kind of go over like what the top 16 seeds would be right now, because just being a top 16 seed, you get to host first two rounds, but top 8, you get to host potentially up to the first 3 rounds unless you lose prior to the Sweet 16. And the 1 through 8 seeds would be projected wise: Texas, Ohio State, Virginia, Mississippi State, TCU, LSU, Wake Forest, and Oklahoma. Oklahoma's barely hanging on though. Like the 9 through 16 would be Arizona, Baylor, Texas A&M, Georgia, South Carolina, Illinois, UCF, and San Diego. Though Florida, Auburn, and Stanford are really close. And obviously USC is there too. It's just I don't know how likely they're going to be a top 16 seed. We'll just have to wait and see. Might as well kind of go the cut line in terms of like the last 4 in terms of at-large bids and not like conference leaders. Those would be Miami, Florida, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, by the way, is not participating in the Big 12 tournament because they didn't do enough in the Big 12. It was only for the top 6. So they're going to really be sweating it out for a long time here before the NCAA tournament field is selected. There's obviously Penn and Harvard. The next would be, the last 4 buys would be Santa Clara, Michigan, Arkansas, Yale, and Princeton. Now the first 4 out would be Duke, North Carolina, California, and might as well say Alabama, though they would have to win the whole thing. SEC tournament just make NCAAs. But if you don't include them, it's Oregon. And the next 4 out would be honestly like Loyola, Marymount. The only way is to win the conference tournament, it seems like. Georgia Tech, Charlotte, and Indiana. Obviously, for those bubble teams, you gotta avoid bad losses in general, and you gotta get some quality wins, especially if you're in the conference tournament. If you're in the conference tournament, you got to just make sure you're in the NCAAs. You gotta win the conference tournament. And the only way that a below 500 school gets in the NCAA tournament is to win the whole conference tournament. That's saying that in general, but we don't have any of that in this case. So yeah, that's kind of important to note. And obviously, I know you're going to have help for those bubble teams out there potentially, but you got to try to take destiny in your own hands here. And honestly, if you want to move up to a top 8 seed instead of just being top 16, you got to win as much as you can. But even then, you might need some help along the way. And they will factor in all this. The fall, like strength of schedule, like AK the ITA rank, head-to-head, common opponents in terms of wins and losses, and then top 50 wins. They will also factor in like the travel aspect for those non-hosts. and they want to try to reduce the flights as much as you can. It's honestly for those top 8 seeds, and especially if you're barely hanging on, you gotta win as much as you can. And an example of like barely hanging on is like an Oklahoma and a Wake Forest. LSU's kind of close there too. Not really TCU. I think they're definitely a top 8 seed regardless of what happens in the Big 12s. Even if they lose to Baylor, I don't think it's going to knock them enough to not be a top 8. I wouldn't think so. And this is assuming that Baylor does beat Utah in the first conference tournament match. And obviously, even if TCU does beat Baylor, they're still being a top 8 seed. And then if they face Arizona in the championship, let's just say in theory, because Arizona's going to play either Arizona State or UCF next match, and I'm just assuming Arizona does win, it's going to help Arizona more to beat TCU to be a top 8 seed potentially. So I'm just saying there on all those factors, because it does play a role for the committee. I mean, they want to reduce the amount of flights as much as possible, and I would think SMU would be sent to TCU. In theory, if you want to reduce the flights, you would think that, because they're literally down the road, really close by. So enough of that talk right there. Now, my top 10 for Division I men's tennis goes as follows: Texas, Ohio State, TCU, Virginia, LSU, Wake Forest, Mississippi State, Oklahoma, Arizona, and Baylor. But if you want to put Texas A&M ahead, fine. But head, those two would be switched. And for the NCAA tournament seeding, and obviously outside looking at one of those two, then it's Georgia, South Carolina, UCF, Illinois, San Diego, and Florida. And I know there will be some regular season matches left before some conference tournaments next week, but some of the conference tournaments are going on this week too. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens. And will there be any bid stealers? And obviously, you do not want to have a bid stealer if you're one of those bubble teams out there. And I know the Ivy League does not have a conference tournament. I know they don't. So that's one exception, but you get the point. Conference tournaments either coming up this week or next week. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like, subscribe, and see you guys later on the road to 800 subscribers. Course ultimate goals, 1,000 more. Some of my this course live video. Comment video really helps YouTube algorithm. Some more people see sharing the video does help as well. So more people could watch it. If you're watching and that's great, hit subscribe button, and then it's free. The notification bell as well. And basically, for Oklahoma State's case, they're right on the bubble. They're gonna have to just pray to make the NCAAs. At this point, I'm being realistic. You can't play anymore in terms of conference. I don't know if they're going to be able to schedule a match just to schedule a match. I don't think they can, given all the other conference tournaments. I wouldn't think so. But it's something to monitor for sure.